This is Foxboro's Fortress, your home for all the latest on the New England Revolution. Brought to you by Leading Lights, LLC. Hello and welcome back everyone to Foxboro's Fortress, your home for all the latest on the New England Revolution. I'm Cecil, and over here we have Tom Pinzone joining us today. Say hi, Tom.
Hey, how's it going?
Today we will be talking about the Portland match and how we lost 2-1. And then we'll be talking about the two matches the Revs have this week, one on Wednesday and then one on Saturday again. Thank you to Leading Lights for sponsoring this episode of Fox's Fortress. And for now, let's dive in to that Portland match. So, lineup-wise, you got Eli Feingold picking up an ankle injury. Not sure really what's going on there. Hopefully he's back soon. So we had Bai starting. But then we also had Langoni starting. And I think he did pretty well there. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he kind of got put in a tough situation when they switched to the 3-5-2 and he lost his spot in the starting lineup. Porter seemed to be pretty convinced that Gonago and Campagna, when available, was the combination to go with up top. So I think, Langoni probably had him, probably put himself under a decent amount of pressure last night to go out and perform. And, he looked like the only one that was capable of remembering where the back of the net was. So glad to see him get that opportunity. Glad to see him offer a threat in behind, which this team really doesn't have when he's not out there. But yeah, I think it was, not a great game, but for Langoni personally, it's kind of hard to drop him out of the lineup after a nice goal.
Yeah, definitely. That 2-1 loss, obviously, but a goal by Luca Langoni never hurts to see. Club record signing. He hasn't really gotten a chance. He picked up that injury early on, but he hasn't really gotten a chance to play in this, like you said, that's 3-5-2. And it's just he needs, as a club record signing, I want to see him getting more game time because as it stands, that's what 7 to 8 million that's sitting on the bench. That's just not. It's not good.
No, I mean it's a big commitment, and sometimes if you're a coach, maybe you have to kind of put how much a player is making or how much it costs to equip. Maybe you have to put that kind of stuff to one side, but at the same time, I'd imagine that Analfo is probably leaning on him a little bit, saying, we can't, the Crafts aren't going to let us spend $7-8 million whenever we feel like it. So like, so unfortunately, that type of price tag, much like being a DP, it buys you a little bit more time. So yeah, I can't imagine that Analfo was really happy to see the most amount of money that the club has ever spent on a player, frozen out because the coach changed the formation.
Yeah, definitely. That first Portland goal was pretty. I gotta admit, you got Ian Smith, rookie, top corner after it getting kind of cleared away. Um, I'm how is no one marking him? Because he was wide open on that side.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because you can make the argument that really shouldn't happen when you have two teams playing the same system, right? If you have two teams playing, with essentially one player covering the whole flank, it should be a pretty simple matchup. By picks up Smith and vice versa. But in that situation, if you watch the replay, By had actually been drawn into the 6 yard box to pick up. I can't remember who. I think it was their number 10. He had made a run into the penalty area. Nobody picked him up. So if you're an outside defender, it's basic rule defending. If you've got a guy close to goal and a guy further away from goal, you can't cover one. You're going to cover the guy that's closer to goal. And then it falls on, Youssef was the closest player to him. Maybe it's one of the center forwards tracking back. Like you just keep moving over, and then players have to drop in cover. And I mean, look, it was a nice move from Portland. I think you have to give him a little credit there. Some quick combination play. They put the ball over. I don't think anyone expected it to fall all the way to the other side of the goal. But Smith certainly thought it was going to fall there, and he smashed his foot through it. And I don't know if you saw the goal cam finish, but from the goal cam, I mean, if he'd shot it any higher, it would have hit the crossbar.
Yeah,
If he shot it any lower, one of the defenders would have headed it away. I mean, perfect strike.
it was a beautiful, perfect strike. And what a way to score your first MLS goal
Yeah,
as a
yeah,
as
yeah.
a rookie. Like, can't do much better than that. That Luca goal though. reintroducing himself to that starting lineup, and that cutback was really nice. I gotta admit, lost that Portland defender completely, and a nice finish there. We go into half 1-1, and it's not looking too bad. Um, we both had our chances. Um, Campana though, I don't even want to talk about him. He kept getting in such good spots and then couldn't finish. It was just
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I was thinking about this today where I feel like Campania we don't we, look we we don't know the mentality of any of these guys, right, to be honest, but maybe Campania. I think Campania might be putting a little too much pressure on himself to be the man. They were talking about during the broadcast last night that he's always kind of been in the shadow of some other goal scorer, but now he's really not in anyone's shadow. The expectation was he was going to come in and lead the line and he was going to score a bunch of goals. I think the predictions on our show were anywhere from 10 goals to 18 goals this season. And right now, I mean, 18. I mean, 18 is gone. 18's out of the picture. But even 10, the way he's shooting the ball right now, it's really frustrating. Because he's a quality player. But if you've never seen him play before last night, you would have been thinking, well, why were people excited about this guy?
yeah, just he needs to start finishing his chances, and
Yeah. Yep.
just like as our starting striker, we need him to score goals. Um, and like we talked about, Luca Langoni not really fitting that 3-5-2 as a sort of like winger, which we don't play that formation anymore. Chunk adapting better to that formation, being able to play that striker role better than Langoni. Um, but Langoni looked like the better forward out there. And so I'd like to see him starting more games going forward, um, especially with Chunk's injury. Hopefully that's not too bad. Same with Ganago's injury. Speaking of injuries, the bench is really light on attackers.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was looking at the bench today. It's really light on attackers. I was looking at this today. We had there was three attackers on the bench: Oyuroth, Arudi, and Diaz. That's terrible. That is,
Yeah. I mean, it's not great. I mean, look, Rudy. Look, he popped up with a great goal last week. I don't know how many times you can really expect Rudy at the age that he's at. You might have already seen the amount of times that he's going to pop up with a goal like that already this season. They brought him in to play 10, 15 minutes a game. They brought him in for vibes in the locker room. Andrew Farrell is on the team for vibes in the locker room too, and he only played in the cup matches. And Diaz, I mean, I think the frustrating thing for fans is definitely Diaz comes in around the same time every game. He does pretty much the same thing. Doesn't score. Struggles to stay on side. Doesn't provide us. I mean, it's just like, well, why? But like you said, there's no one else to pick from.
yeah,
Jack P is playing down Hartford. Noel Buck is on the injured list for San Jose. And there's some guys on Revs too that have been, at least kind of making things happen that they don't get an opportunity. So we get the Luis Diaz show every week, which not many people are tuning into.
yeah. Just like I want to see, especially I know we got Liam Butts in Revs 2. And then Cristiano Oliveira is also down there.
Yeah,
And then like Alan Oyuroth, like I mentioned, let's just give these guys a shot. Like at this point, I want to
yeah. I
see.
mean, I don't. There's no reason not to.
Yeah, like
What is Luis Diaz doing to justify being that guy off the bench, or even and then last night even too, Campania wasn't the first one subbed out. It's like if you've got a Liam Butts on the bench, you can at least say, okay, well, hey, look, at least maybe he can hold up the ball, maybe he can get his head on something, like maybe he can make something happen. He's not, look, he's not a fantastic player. We don't know what he's like at MLS level, but we know what Luis Diaz is like at MLS level. We know you can't get much out of Rudy. But yeah, those guys just don't get the opportunity to play.
yeah, I completely forgot about Marcos Diaz right there.
Yeah, that's another one, right? Sure, why not? I mean,
And
like,
we got like Malcolm Fry sitting down there. Like there are these guys that are like, we don't know what they're doing. We don't know how good they are, but we know how good the guys we have are, Luis Diaz and Rudy, and they really haven't shown what we want them to show. And so it's just not looking good. Like,
no, and you're not going to find out, right? These
yeah,
kids, these guys can play at Revs 2 level. They've shown that. Okay. If you're not going to give them the opportunity to play for the first team, then, why are they here? Like, if Revs 2 is just there because MLS makes you have one, then just make it a U23 team and just kind of ship those guys along to USL teams. But like those guys are there and they're performing and they're probably like, well, what's the point, right? I mean, some of those, I think it's Diaz. He's been there for 5 years. It's like just go play somewhere else. I mean, it's crazy.
like, got to give these guys a shot.
Yeah, yeah. There's no why have them if you're not going to do it?
Yeah. Like I already mentioned, we're moving on to our one good, one bad. Luca looked good. Luca looked good, but then we only used two subs. Campana couldn't finish, and now we haven't won since May 31st. We're on a tough. We're not doing so well right now, and our striker who can't score goals isn't looking too good right now either. It's
It's
fr-
tough times.
frustrating.
Yeah, yeah. No, for sure.
While watching the game, I had to go back and rewatch the last like from minute 70 onward because I just fell asleep. It's just like can't handle this anymore.
No, and if you look at the comments online, I think I think a lot of people probably just took the opportunity. Yeah, they're playing at 10:30 at night. Like, I think I'm good. People my age find a lot harder to stay up until 12:30, quarter one in the morning. But we soldiered through it and watched the whole game, and yeah, we might have been better off falling asleep in the 70th minute
Yeah.
ourselves. Yeah, yeah, for
At least I
sure.
fell asleep with a 1-1 draw. Like,
Yeah, yeah, at least right, at least get a point. But and that I think that's the frustrating thing is they actually attacked and created enough chances to think that they could have gotten the second goal and at least gotten out of there, with 1 point. And there's been points early on in the season where we wouldn't have been able to say that, like, well, they're just not creating chances at all. And then on a night when they do create chances, they don't finish them. So it's like there's always something. They're a very strange team. They're inconsistent with what they're inconsistent with.
and just this is it's hard to watch this team sometimes.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, you guys picked a good year to start a podcast. So.
Yeah. Moving on to some stats. Basically 50-50 possession. Somehow we keep having a good amount of expected goals, like more than the other team, and we continue to lose. It's like last game, um, I think we had more XG than Colorado in that 3-3 draw. We had more XG than Portland in this loss. Like we're getting these chances and we're not finishing them, and it's really annoying.
No, it's an interesting trend actually, because that wasn't the case earlier on in the season. For even in games that they won, they weren't winning the XG battle, or even if you dig a little deeper, if you check out MLS Analytics, which is they're on Blue Sky. If you don't have Blue Sky, it's really worth having a Blue Sky account just for that account. But they put shots into like four different XG buckets. So a great shot, good shot, like an average shot, and then a poor shot. And they for long stretches were just not having any great or good, high percentage XG types of shots. Well, last night they had two, and Portland had none, and they lose the game 2-1 anyway. So it's like I said, now the chance creation is there, but they can't finish. Before, the chance creation wasn't there, and you needed Kylis Hill to hit some ridiculous, 30-yard screamer, or they just have to, hurl themselves to the ground enough times to get a penalty. It's, yeah, tough times.
We got to turn this around though. Bottom line, turn it around. Like,
Well, this is the thing, though, right? I mean, let me ask you this, right? Like, Donegal's hurt again. Chonkalai's hurt. So Campagna and Langoni, I mean, that's pretty much it. Like who else are they going to go with on Wednesday night? It's they can't seem to get all these guys healthy at the same time so they can make choices.
Like, we need everybody healthy, and we probably need another striker who can
Yep.
probably finish the ball. Like,
Yeah, they do. They need both those things for sure.
yeah, we came into the season, and I remember when Porter said like we're gonna bring in like one or two more guys. One of them's gonna be like an MLS veteran striker. And we were all hoping for like a Boise. Then he got signed by LFC, and we ended up with a Rudy. Um, and
Yeah,
then we didn't sign another guy, and then it's just like that other dude just disappeared, like whoever we were gonna sign, and
yeah,
hopefully it was gonna be on the striker, but like I don't really want a Rudy as my main backup striker. Not really what I want to see. I want to see somebody else that can come in who's younger, who's faster, um, that can score goals and maybe take that starting spot from Campana if this mystery person starts to score goals.
yeah. I mean, it does help to have someone to even if Campagna is the starting striker week in and week out, you do need someone to push. Same with the goalkeeper. Goalkeeper needs a good backup to push them.
Yeah.
It makes them better. And right now, I mean, Campagna doesn't have much to worry about. He's probably going to get an opportunity to play against Miami. Now the question is, he's going to play against Miami. That's his former team. Is he gonna be out there with a point to prove? Is he going to put even more pressure on himself? Is he the type of guy that responds to that? Does he, like Wednesday? I mean, Wednesday. Look, Wednesday will be interesting for a lot of reasons, but that one in particular, Campagna going against his former team, with a point to prove to both teams,
Yeah.
to Miami and his current team now.
We need to see something out of him. Like, bottom
Yeah,
line,
yeah,
let's put on a show for us, Campana. Like, why not? Um, Me and Raph, he predicted that we were gonna lose. He had 1-0 loss. I had us winning. I had the correct scoreline though. Just flip it. Um, I'm gonna have Luca Langoni as my man of the match. He came into this match. I think this is his first time starting this season. I may be wrong about that, but one of his first time starting the season, first goal of the season. He looked good, and he took advantage of his opportunity. Carlos, he looked good too, but he most of the time always looks good. So I'm giving Luca my man of the match.
yeah. It's tough to argue. I don't really know that anyone else had an outstanding performance. Pitt Miller did a good job making that run in behind. We shot the ball straight at the keeper. He didn't create too much. By put a couple he put a couple of good balls into the penalty area again, this has kind of been a theme as well. Same, Feingold puts in a lot of good balls as well, but there's no one there to go and attack them. Um, Sabalas and Fofana, I mean, it's hard to give center backs the player of the match when you give up two goals, but it was nice to see both of them back out there from the start. They look pretty solid. But yeah, I mean, Langoni was really the only guy that stepped it up to a higher level than we've seen from him so far this season. So yeah, tough to argue with Langoni as the man of the match.
Yeah, it's been good. With that, I'm gonna send it over to Leading Lights, the sponsor of this podcast. Unlock the power of your platform data with Leading Lights, experts in transforming raw numbers into compelling benchmarks. Leading Lights helps a variety of companies turn insights into engaging stories that drive growth. Elevate your brand with data-driven content that captivates your audience and sets you apart from the competition with Leading Lights. Visit their website at leadinglights.io to see how you can transform your platform data. Hello and welcome back, everyone, to Foxboro's Fortress, your home for all the latest on the New England Revolution. Again, I'm Cecil. We got Tom Pinzone on the other side. And now we're going to look into that Inter Miami match coming up on Wednesday night. Um, Obviously, Inter Miami having Messi and Busquets and Alba and Suarez, all these big names. By the conference standings, haven't looked too great. That being said, they are 4 matches behind everybody else. I think it's 3 now, but they like didn't play because of the Club World Cup, and so although they're with this, it says sixth in the East. I think they're probably higher. I think they won yesterday, so I think it's 32 points now. Um, I think it's 9-5-3. But yeah, they're participating in the Club World Cup and they were in the CONCACAF Champions Cup early on. So they've got a lot of fixtures this season. Um, they started really well, with a win in the draw and then won seven straight. Total nine unbeaten. Um, they drew to Toronto, which was a little bit surprising, but then um, they lost to LAFC, three-match unbeaten streak, and so they've just kind of been. It's messy. It's Inter Miami. They've been good for the last two seasons. Not really expecting too much less from Messi, being completely honest. Um, Won against Montreal. They went out to PSG in the FIFA Club World Cup. They're a really good team. It's going to be tough to beat Messi.
Yeah, the interesting I mean the interesting thing about the way that Miami's playing now is that they've got some other guys too that are not Messi and Suarez that are also scoring goals.
Yeah,
Uh and so it might be a situation where, maybe Messi and Suarez, maybe they don't start on Wednesday night, maybe they come off the bench. Maybe the Revs can try and, maybe the Revs can try and take advantage of that. I think, one thing that Miami does do is they do tend to give up early goals. It doesn't really seem to slow them down too much. But I mean, the Revs did score first against Miami last year.
yeah.
But the problem is that, once these guys get going, I watched the game last night against Montreal. And look, Montreal, look, they're okay. Look, they're in last place. They're having a bad year, but it was a pretty even game the first half an hour. And then once Miami gets going, it's really something else. Even though we've been watching this for 2.5 years now. I mean, Messi's second goal last night was that was like it was old school, like 2009, 2010. Messi picks the ball up, just dribbles through five guys, destroys all of them, somehow comes out the other side, and then just a little tap in. I mean, it's just insane that he can still do that at 38 years old in a league that, look, back in 2010, MLS wasn't a great league. It's, Opta at least considers it to be one of the top 10 leagues in the world. So it's not a retirement league anymore. To see him at 38 still just, again, just destroy five defenders and put the ball in the back. I mean, really, really, really incredible stuff. And it's potentially going to be a very long night once again.
Yeah. Last time we what was it? I'm thinking back to last game of the season. I was at some sort of party. Um, and I was like, I think we scored first. We like scored first, and it was like goal, 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 goal. It was just like, not to say we didn't expect this, but I think like Messi came off the bench that game. It was just like that was really unfortunate. And I think it ended like 5-2 or something like that. Like they were really good.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. It's crazy, honestly. Like once they get going, and they've got these other guys, Ayande, they got another guy who plays over the other side of the field. They're scoring goals now too. I mean, yeah, it's some crazy stuff.
Yeah, the guy I'm highlighting, Telesco Segovia, Segovia, something like that. 22-year-old Venezuelan with 4 goals, 3 assists thus far. He joined from Portuguese club Casapia, and he's just been really good. They sold Inter Miami. They're not relying incredibly on Messi. They just sold like last in like the winter Diego Gomez to Brighton. And they've just got these like starlets that are lured here by Messi and playing for a great team in MLS, and the rich get richer.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, Scovia had a goal last night. Ayande had a goal last night in between Messi's two goals. So again, you've got to be concerned about those two guys attacking down the sides, but then you've also got to worry about Suarez, Messi. They've got Gormashki is playing center mid with Busquets now. I mean, it's just, yeah,
They've got a
it's
really good team.
yeah. I mean, they're only to be honest, they're only weak spots are center backs. There's
Yeah.
Falcone. If I mean, they must have ran out of money when they signed their center backs. To be honest, that's their only weak spot. They've given up 28 goals in I think it's 16, 17 games, but they score so many it doesn't matter. Like, it's it's a nice world to live in. Like, oh yeah, we gave up an early goal. Yeah, well, whatever. We're not too worried about it. We're gonna
We'll
score
just
three or
have
four
like
anyway.
Messi and Suarez take care of it. Like you
Yeah,
go over there, score a goal. It's like they're
yeah,
doing really good.
yeah. It's a tough time to it's a tough time to need 3 points. That's for sure.
Yeah. Score prediction. I'm definitely gonna predict a loss. I'm gonna have 3-1. I don't expect Messi, Suarez, Alba, Busquets. I don't expect their big stars to play the entire game after going full 90 against Montreal and just like playing in the Club World Cup. I don't expect them to go full 90. Even I think they'll come off the bench. I say 3-1. My Revs goal scorer. Um, it's gonna be. I'm gonna see Luca Langoni starting again, and he's gonna score that goal. Um, he's gonna continue to show out, and then we look for a win against Austin on Saturday.
Uh yeah, that's probably their best bet, honestly. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go same margin of defeat, but 4-2. I think they'll get a goal from Langoni, they'll get a goal from Carlos. I think they'll get a goal from Carlos from a penalty, Langoni from a counterattack, early goal similar to Chonkai's early goal last season. You can kind of catch them out. You can catch
Yeah,
them out quickly. Yeah. And then I think Messi, Suarez will come off the bench, get one each. And then those other two. And actually, I think Goroski will pop up with a goal, and maybe Ayande grabs another one. But and it is too. I do want to mention Busquets. Busquets, like, look, I mean, not that he's like the forgotten man, but certainly Messi, Suarez get a lot of attention. Alaba gets some attention. I think that sometimes even Mascherano gets more attention than Busquets does, and he's just the coach. But Busquets is my favorite player uh, of all time, basically. And even last night, again, look, he's old, he's not his former self. He puts a foot wrong occasionally, but his brain just sees passes that other don't even register that they're possible.
yeah,
He picked out a couple really nice ones last night. So I personally really enjoy watching him play. Not particularly when he's picking apart the Revs,
yeah,
but he's definitely a guy to if he plays Wednesday, is definitely a guy to keep an eye on as well. With he kind of makes what happens in front of him a little bit easier with again with some of the passes that he picks out.
yeah. It's a, it's a sneaky, scary player.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But Miami certainly has I mean they've got a lot going for him.
Yeah. Moving into that Austin match. Um, Ninth in the West, I believe. 26 points still. 7-5, and I think 9. Yeah. They had to postpone their match against LAFC from yesterday, due to the flooding, and all the families affected, which I send my thoughts and prayers to in Central Texas. With that being said, um, they've done pretty good. They've been semi-inconsistent. They just haven't really, like, done too well. I feel like every new team that joins MLS, they do really good their first season, and then they kind of fall off the face of the earth. Um, I think that can be said for them. That can be said for St. Louis. That can be said for San Diego right now. Um, but yeah, they've been semi-consistent. Um, but they do play U.S. Open Cup on Tuesday, so that'll be an interesting match. Um, they're still in it. They're a decent team. Um, they signed some big guys in the offseason, but they're decent.
Yeah, I mean that game, it's tough to call. Well, the Revs play better on the road than they play at home, so
Yeah,
I guess maybe it's not that tough. Uh, if they don't, let's assume they don't get anything Wednesday against Miami.
yeah,
That is that really is a must win game, right?
oh
They
yeah,
they have got to go there. They're playing a team that is on the fringes of the playoff spot in the West. Uh, the West doesn't, to be honest, if Portland is the fourth best team in the West, they it can't be a very strong conference this year. I
yeah,
mean, Portland, I was amazed. Like these guys are in fourth place. I mean, they're very open defensively, playing with a high line, but not really pressing, which is a great way to get caught out and give up goals. So yeah, I mean, they've been good on the road, and they've got to keep, they've got to keep that going as long as they possibly can, because if they can't turn around their home form, they're going to have to do it the opposite way. They're going to have to win on the road and draw at home.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's good that Austin is playing on Tuesday night. I would imagine they'll probably rotate because it's a cup match.
Yeah.
But at the very least, you don't have these guys sitting around for 2 weeks, fresh, healthy, and raring to go. Whereas the Revs have to play, 3 times in 8 days. So be interesting to see what kind of lineup Austin puts out on Tuesday night. But if they don't get a result against Miami on Wednesday, it's pretty much a must-win game.
Yeah.
And I don't think you want to be in that situation in the middle of July.
I wanted to ask you, why do you think the Revs are performing better away than at home?
I I don't know. It's strange because it's not normal.
No.
Even look, 2022 wasn't a fantastic season, but we were season ticket holders that year, and we felt like, hey, look, they at least usually got some sort of a result. They blew some late leads, and those turned into ties, but they were strong. And last year was an atrocious season from beginning to end. But there was at least signs of life when they played at home. They at least looked a little bit more attack minded, a little bit more on the front foot. It's such an odd phenomenon because it doesn't really happen in MLS.
No.
It's pretty much a standard across the league that it's very, very difficult to go on the road and win. The home field advantage and like people have like looked into it and like looked into like the statistics of how it compares to like other soccer leagues and other sports, but like home field advantage in MLS for whatever reason, and no one really knows, it's huge. And they have 2 wins at home. 2 wins. I mean, now
Yeah.
you can say, oh well, yeah, they've only played 10 home games, but 2 out of 10 is not going to get it done.
No.
It's I don't know. I don't think anyone has an answer. Maybe it can't be. Let me this way. It's not pressure. It's not pressure from the
No.
fans. There's there's not enough people there that are really keyed into what's going on for
Yeah.
them to be feeling like, oh, they're going to get on us if we give up the first goal. Most people aren't even in their seats until the 20th minute.
Yeah.
You know, I sit at the back of the season ticket holder set. We're in row 20. So we can see people in front of us, and they're up and down, going to get food, coming back, going to get more food, taking the kids to the bathroom. They show up in the 20th minute, they leave in the 70th minute. So it's not pressure. You can take
No.
that, you cross that off the list.
I think it might be this definitely isn't the whole answer because of the two conferences. Part of it definitely has to be travel. European teams, like take Crystal Palace for example. They're playing with inside England, like almost always. This year being the exception because of um they'll be playing Europa League. Um, but the US is not a small country. Um, and with these teams having to commute a fair bit um for each match, it's got to play some part, but it can't be all of it. And so,
Not all of it, but it's definitely, I mean, you look at what the Revs have to do, right? They've got to fly out to Seattle, right? They probably flew back today. And that's okay. So they'll take today off. They'll train Monday, train Tuesday, play Wednesday, and then probably Friday morning they've got to go, and now they got to fly back to Austin. So that the time zones, you're going back 3 time zones to go to Seattle, right? Then going back to your regular time for 3 or 4 days, but then you're going back, and I think it's an hour behind so you're changing time zones. I mean, it adds a lot of disruption.
yeah.
Uh, Particularly again these West Coast, and it's not like, look, it's not like when the Red Sox go on a West Coast swing, they're there for 2 weeks,
Yeah.
right? They take one big flight across and they play 2 or 3 series in a row on the West. So you adjust to the time zone and then you stay there. For an MLS team, you fly in, you're there for a day or two, you turn around and you fly back home. So yeah. I mean, look, it's like a first world problem, but it's definitely an issue.
Yeah, definitely. Um, I'm gonna highlight their free agent signing, Bersard Sabov Sabovic. Um, Free agent signing. Swedish. He's been pretty good for them. Nice pick about a free agency. Um, but they did sign some big money guys in the winter. I believe it was Ozuni from Granada in Spain, and it was Vasquez in from Mexico. Um, and those two haven't done too bad. Vasquez, being in the All-Star game now, haven't done too bad. But Brsard Sabovic is the guy
Vasquez is in the All-Star game.
I believe so.
He's got
Maybe
5 goals.
I may be wrong about that.
No, probably not because the coach, Austin coach, got to pick the team.
That's true.
So that's how that works.
But you know,
But Vasquez, yeah, I mean he's definitely, yeah, I think he's definitely the guy the Revs are going to have to worry about. 5 goals or not. I mean, he's been a big time. He was a big time goal scorer in this league for Cincinnati for several years.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, that's they are almost certainly going to need a result, and that's not, you don't want to be in that situation when you're on the road.
yeah. Stuver and Vasquez and Estevez in the All-Star game, and he was named a finalist for All-Star game captain.
That's just the coach
Yeah,
looking after his boys for sure. Yeah.
but he's a good player. Definitely, you never got to worry about him. Um, and then Azuni has also not been too bad. Um, haven't done too well, but hasn't been too bad either. Sort of average. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think with Vasquez is the goals are going to come. You have to assume they're going to come eventually, and if you're the Revs, you want to make sure you're not giving him any easy opportunities because you don't want him to get his first brace, get his first hat trick of the season against you because he's the type of player that you can assume he's going to get one at some point this season. It's kind of like Daniel Gazdag. He went to Philadelphia, he went to Columbus, and unless he scored in the last 5 minutes, he's gone 13 games with Columbus and he's got no goals. It's just hard to believe that that's going to continue.
yeah,
So yeah, but again, it, it's almost impossible to see how they get a result on Wednesday unless Miami does what San Jose did when they came to play the Revs, where right Bruce rotated the entire starting 11,
yeah,
and saved everyone's legs for they had a cup game the following Tuesday. So
yeah.
maybe they get lucky. Maybe Miami sits even Ayande and the guy that you referenced. Maybe he sits all of them and just says, "Hey, look, we got 3 points on Saturday. We're really going to go for 3 points on the following Saturday. If we drop one midweek, no problem." So
Yeah,
maybe they get that. Maybe they get a fully rotated team. But that didn't go that well against San Jose either because they tied. They couldn't even win that one.
that
I
was
mean, Bruce was trying to give the Revs 3 points one last time and couldn't take it.
that game was really bad.
That was
That
yeah,
was bad.
yeah,
That game was
yeah,
really bad.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna predict for scoreline. Um, I'm gonna hope we get lucky. No donuts. I hope I get donuts. I'm hoping for 2-1 win for the Revs. I think Vasquez does score that goal. Um, but I don't think Luke is gonna score this game. Um, I think Carlos will definitely score this game. Um, I really hope Campana can score this game, but I don't think he will. I think we might even see like a Yusuf goal out of like nowhere. So I got Yusuf and Carlos as my two goal scorers. I think Luca does get the start and an assist. I just don't think he scores this game.
Yeah, I mean that would be again. If that's the case, it's going to be well needed for sure. I think they're going to tie. I think it's going to be 2-2. Vasquez will bang two in, one in each half, and the Revs will get a couple goals. They'll get one from Carlos, and they'll get one from. Let's assume the Feingold is fit and available and able to come back in. Either Feingold or Miller we'll smash one in similar to Smith's goal last night for Portland.
Yeah, that'd be the dream. It'd be I'd love to see Eli back. He's been really good for the Revs. Um, as coming over from Israel. It's been a welcome addition.
It's just good to have options though too. Like Bai's still a good player.
Yeah.
If the Revs start to fall out of the playoff race, I'm sure somebody would be looking to pick him up, like like Jones last year when he went to Columbus. But it's good, even if Feingold is playing really well. You want Feingold and Bai healthy for every single game, so you can really push Feingold and tell him, hey, look, 65, 70 minutes, right? That's what you're getting. So come out the second half and just give it everything you got for another 20 minutes here. And then you're able to bring a quality player off the bench. Because like you said, at the top of the show, when they were looking at the bench last night, there's just not much there. It's nice. Brandon Bai, I'm sure, would rather be starting. I'd rather have him starting, but it is nice to be able to turn to the bench and say, actually, you know what? We've got someone here that can get down the right side and put a couple of good crosses in for us.
Yeah. Um, I'm postponing my Revs Lone Watch segment for next episode. Just to give Max Weinstein, who we'll talk about in just a moment, some time to settle in Estonia. Um, I'll talk about that now, actually. Max Weinstein getting loaned to I spent way too much time trying to pronounce both the league and the team name. I spent way too much time. It's like Meisterliga, Yatkov, Talina Kolev. Um, reportedly has an option to buy at the conclusion of the loan. Estonia, though? Like,
Yeah, I would love to know the story of how that move came about. Like
yeah,
what like how much time did that team in Estonia spend on Y Scout to stumble upon Max Weinstein and then pick up the phone, know who to call? I mean, did the Revs even pick up the like how does this even it it's just look, if a player goes across to England, yeah, okay, fine, that makes sense. If they go across to to Spain or like Portugal's like a really kind of like Portugal, similar to like the Belgian league. That's like a good jumping off point to try and go to like a top five league in Europe. But
Estonia.
Estonia, like yeah, it's very very odd, and I just wonder why Weinstein thought you know this is the place for me to go. Unless he's just looking to get, he just wants to get out of here and he wants a fresh opportunity. But man, Estonia, that's a heck of a choice.
That's like, I don't think he's gonna stay the Revs to number one. We've obviously got JD Gunn, we've got Parisian, and then the Parisian might return to Revs two once Bono is back fit from that neck injury. But like this team, where do you even how much scouting do you have to do to go stumble upon Revs 2 keeper Max Weinstein and just say, yeah, that's our guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
That's our guy. And then, hey,
that's
can we
something that
get
you might do in Football Manager or whatever they call it now, EAFC or what. Like you're just randomly searching, and it's like, oh, this is a 62 overall rated goalkeeper. Yeah, okay, sure, and he's why not?
exactly.
Um, yeah, strange move. It's the thing is too. I saw Weinstein. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I saw him play probably 6 or 7 times for Revs too, and I was always impressed. I thought he was a pretty solid goalkeeper. He was he was comparable to JD Gunn, but had the benefit of he's several years younger. I think he's 4 years younger than JD Gunn, and I felt like he was even a little bit ahead of him a couple of years ago when Weinstein was only 19. So it's just kind of been interesting to see how things have gone for him. He wasn't starting on a regular basis for Revs too. It seemed like recently he was getting back into the team. Don't I don't follow Revs too close enough, but even the guy for the Blazing Musket, Josh, that does follow. He's the only guy that covers that team really. He was perplexed as well. Like, what is the plan for what is the plan for this guy? He's a 19-year-old kid. He done really well. He impressed back in 2023. It just kind of seemed to stall out since then. So all around, very strange. What's been holding him back, and how does one end up in Estonia? It's
Yeah.
incredible.
I saw Caleb Pongrat's post. Um, Weinstein getting loaned to Estonia makes him the third Revs keeper in 3 years to make a move to Europe. Yes, but we're talking about Petrovic, Turner, both going to the Prem, and then we're talking about Weinstein, the Revs two keeper, going to Estonia. I feel like this is two very different things. This is not.
It's an interesting way to phrase it. That's for sure. Yeah.
This is two very different things here.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, no,
yeah.
no, no, it's four. He forgot, as we all have. Heinrich Ravas.
Oh my God, not Henrik Ravas. Technically, it's five if you really think about it, because you've got um, why am I blanking on his name? Um, the guy we signed that didn't play a match and made the bench once, and they released him. That re
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh my God, what is
that
his
dude.
name?
Um, he signed for Boavista in Portugal.
Yeah, yeah. Didn't even play a game. That's right. They had to use
Their
they
buyout.
had to use their buyout on him on like January 1st,
Yeah.
when it could have been put to much better use buying out Mark Anthony K. But
Oh yeah. That would have been much better move. But that was
much pain would have
Thomas
been
Backleak.
saved.
Backleak. There we go.
Oh,
Thomas Backleak. There we go.
ah, yeah, yeah. That's right. So five. Yeah.
Yeah,
They
five.
send a goalkeeper to Europe every 6 months. So,
Not too bad.
yeah, it's not bad. Yeah.
Not a bad track record right there. Henrik Ravas was such a disaster. That was. uh,
It was a bad time to be the starting goalkeeper for the Revs.
Um, in other headlines, or surrounding the Revs, we've got Cristiano Oliveira and Josh Macedo, one of Oliveira of Revs 2, who's played in the U.S. Open Cup, and then Macedo, or Masato, I'm not sure how you pronounce his last name, from the Revs Academy, have been invited to participate in the 2025 MLS All-Star Weekend in Austin as part of the MLS Next Pro All-Star Game. I know who Cristiano Oliveira is. Josh Macedo, though, haven't heard his name popping up too much.
I don't think I've seen him play, to be perfectly honest. Or if I have, like I've only seen Revs 2 play 3 times this year. So I've been slacking on my Revs 2 viewing.
I need to
But
get I need to get down to a game there. Haven't made
oh
it.
well, I'd be more than happy to have you.
I've seen videos from there, and there's like maybe five people in the stands.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
it's
we've
not too
gone
many
to those
people.
games before, and it's basically all the players, parents, parents, partners, and friends, and that's pretty much it. So
Yeah,
yeah. But no, Oliveira, obviously, he took his chance and did quite well when he got the chance to play for the Revs. He's only 17 years old, so I just hope that there's a plan in place for him.
yeah,
If he hits his marks this year in Revs 2, what are we doing with him next year? Because it can't be give him a first team contract and then he doesn't play like what's happened to Malcolm Fry. Fry, you could argue they probably moved Fry up a little too early. That was kind of an interesting move. But they moved him up and he didn't get an opportunity. It's like, so then what is the point there?
yeah,
Why move up an 18-year-old or 19? Fry's still very young. Why move up a youngster just to take that spot if he's not going to play?
yeah,
Malcolm Fry uh, probably would have been a lot better off, this year and last year going on loan. Go play for a League One team or go play down in Hartford. Go out and get first team minutes in front of a crowd of people, right?
yeah,
Like, send them up to, even, send them up to Portland, Maine. They get 5,700 people up there again tonight. I mean, it's crazy. You've got to give them that type of, so Oliveira's got to get that type of experience, get in front of 5,000-6,000 people that are really into a game, instead of his parents and his mates at Gillette Stadium.
I think personally they should put him on the they should put those games right next to Gillette on the like Patriots training field They've got like the little bleachers over there.
Yeah. No, I mean honestly, like they tried last year. They played some games. They played some games up at Southern New Hampshire University.
Yeah,
That didn't really work out so well. Uh, it wasn't a great venue for soccer. It was a running. There was a track around it, so you're really far away from the field. No alcohol sales, which I think you can't watch soccer without drinking alcohol. I'm sure you haven't had that experience, but it helps. Let me know when you're old enough, it helps. Let me tell you. So they again, there are a couple teams that in MLS Next Pro that are an MLS affiliate that have been set up like with their own name, like their own thing in their own stadium, and it would be nice to see the Revs really try to do
yeah.
that at some point. But again, playing these games in front of 80, 90 people,
Yeah.
it just doesn't in a 70,000 seat stadium.
Uh,
It's not a great that doesn't help the learning experience of being a pro.
it doesn't help. Um, I'd love to learn more about this Josh Macedo dude, though. I've
Yeah,
never
me too. Yeah, yeah,
not
yeah.
heard about this dude, and now he's getting called at the All-Star game. I don't think he's with Revs too. I think he's with the Academy still. Um, would love to hear more about this dude because
Yeah.
if
No,
he,
for sure. I mean, they've had young guys before that have really done really well, and again, they just need to have an opportunity, and again, there needs to be kind of a structure of what these guys are doing.
yeah, exactly. You got anything else to add?
No, that's it. I just look again, appreciate the opportunity to come on the show. You guys are doing a good job. Look, it's great to have kind of more of this content out there. And so definitely keep it up and stick with it. It should be a lot of fun. You guys, like I said, you guys picked kind of an odd year to start a podcast. But last year was my first year, talking about and writing about the Revs, and it was a pretty miserable season, but it can be fun sometimes, and you're definitely providing a level of enjoyment for some number of fans. So until until results improve, the more content that you guys can put out, the better off that will be. But yeah, the only thing I do want to plug the Blazing Musket. If you haven't checked out the Blazing Musket, please do. Not only do we cover the New England Revolution, we do cover Revs 2 in depth, so you can get Josh's three thoughts on every single Revs 2 game. You're really, honestly, not going to get that anywhere else. And we cover everybody else. We cover RAFC, Hartford, the finest team in all of New England, the Vermont Green. We've got another kid, Ben Clements. He's covering a couple of the USL teams here in Massachusetts, and we cover the Portland Hearts of Pine as well. So if the Revs, if the Revs are getting you down, there is more soccer in New England than there has ever been. Boston Legacy is coming in next year as well. Given the NWSL another go around, they'll be playing at Gillette as well, and we'll have that covered as well. We have Jackie Contreras has been covering that team already for over a year now. So yeah, if you haven't checked out the Blazing Musket, please do. We cover all the soccer in New England, and you're coming of age at a good time. 10 years ago there was nothing. 10 years ago there was the Revs and a failing NWSL team, and that was it. It was pretty rough.
Well, I appreciate that. Make sure you're following us at Foxboro Fortress on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Make sure you're following at Revolution Recap and Tom Pinzone himself, T Pinzone 343, also on there. If you're on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to us. If you're on Spotify, make sure you're following us there. Comment or DM us with any questions or comments. Thank you, Leading Lights LLC, again for sponsoring this podcast, and we'll be back next Monday. This was Fox's Fortress.